main difference in drug court as opposed to traditional courts is that we take an active interest in the individual and attempt to determine what their problems are. Why do they keep violating the law? Most of the times it's addiction. And we work with the addiction to break the cycle of addiction rather than just simply punish them by incarcerating, because it's just not working.
I used drugs for 23 years. I didn't think I had a problem. I thought I was a good parent. I had to go through some things in order to be a good parent, be a good person, productive person in society. I had to go through a lot in order to get where I'm at. And I know not many women recover, and especially women that's got kids. We tend to have a lot of problems. So I love helping the women get sober.
For a drug court to work, you've got to have buy-in from all the players within the system. You've got to have the prosecution's buy-in. You've got to have defense lawyers active in the program. You've got to have law enforcement involved. You must have the judge involved. Probation needs to be involved. And everybody working toward that same goal of treating the individual with the drug or alcohol addiction. But it doesn't mean that there's not any penalty to be paid. Of course there is. Oftentimes the defendant comes to us straight from jail. We place them into a long-term treatment program, 30 days to a year, depending on their individual needs. And from there they come back to our drug court program for a minimum of 18 months. This is a great option for defense attorneys who are truly trying to help from a holistic approach in this individual's life, because we know that simply locking somebody up does not fix their problem with addiction. In my 20-plus years in the practice of defense law, for way too often, that's exactly what was done. So this is an innovative approach. We're one of the oldest drug courts in the state, one of the oldest drug courts in the country. But throughout the nation, drug courts are becoming a big deal. People are realizing that if you want to stop repeat DUI offenders, if you want to stop repeat drug addiction, you have to treat it as well as incarcerate. Most of our participants spend some minimum amount of time in prison or jail. They're normally required to serve a certain amount of time in jail before they come to us. And they appear before the judge, and the judge checks them out, and they can make application to the drug court. It's entirely up to the judge at that point to decide whether or not they can come into drug court. Not only the judge, but the DA has to agree. If the DA doesn't agree, they cannot come into our drug court program. It's a serious proposition. It's serious business for people who are serious about kicking their addictions.
Well, when I took office, I kind of had a different perspective. I was looking at it as we need to put these people in jail and let them do their sentence, and then when they're done, they can come back out, and all of a sudden things are going to change. And it's not that simple. And what we found is in jail, if we don't have the right programs, or we don't have the right ability to reach each person on an individual basis, whether that is that they would like to get their GED, or that they are addicted to certain medications, drugs, alcohol, if we don't target what they specifically need, then we're not changing that person's life. There's a lot of good people in jail. They just have made some bad choices, and some of them, well, a majority are related to some type of drug or alcohol addiction.
The main impact of drug court is that we take persons who, because of their addiction, continue to violate the law. And if we just keep locking them up, they're going to as soon as they get out, they're going to go back to their old ways and fall into the addiction again and be committing more crimes. And it's just a revolving door. And the idea of drug court is to break the addiction, and that breaks the cycle of addiction, crime, and turns these people, instead of repeat offenders, into tax-paying working citizens. It also, because of the fact that they're not incarcerated as they would have been without drug court, it saves hundreds of thousands of dollars in incarceration and prosecution costs.
Drug court has enabled me to get things back in my life that I took for granted. My kids are back in my life today. My dad, my mom, they're back in my life, and it's helped me to be a productive member of society.
Everything. It's gave me some sort of freedom. I was on a road of destruction. I was killing my family. It's gave me peace of mind, and it's put me back in the work field where I can work, and I hold down a job. It's done a lot for me.
Everything I have today, you know, I owe pretty much to drug court. Before I got here, you know, my life was pretty much hopeless. I was defeated, and the life I have today, which is a pretty good life, is you know, because of drug court.
Drug court has turned me into a completely different person from the way I used to be. It's changed my way of thinking, changed my whole life. I have a relationship with my family again. Pretty much the way I think and perceive the world is completely different now.
I would definitely say my whole way of thinking. Absolutely. I think that the biggest difference is really realizing now that I can live. I don't have to be dependent on anything other than God. And, you know, I think the biggest deal is I know that I can live life, you know, 100% honestly, the way that I'm supposed to. I don't have to be dependent on anything when I wake up in the morning to take care of my children. That's really the biggest difference. Like, I have a total God reliance, more so than I've ever had in my life, even before my addiction. So it's a whole change of life. I mean, night and day completely.
In drug court, we have obviously we can put them in jail, and that's a punishment system. We can restrict them, don't let them have passes or something of that nature. But we also reward, and one of the oddly enough, one of the most rewarding reward system is the fact that we get a bunch of cookies every week, and if someone comes up before me and has done well, I give them a cookie. And it was the idea came to me one day because I was complimenting one of our drug court participants, and she just joked back and said, "Oh, do I get a cookie?"
The store fits into our drug court program because the store was founded to increase money that comes in for our drug court program. We were short on funds for treatment and always finding ourselves kind of in a bind for extra resources when it come to people that needed to get treatment and dollars for that. So we decided to open this thrift store in hopes that we could make a few extra dollars for the treatment. And lo and behold, with all the donations and everything coming in, we found that it was making a lot more money than we we expected, and turned out to be a really good thing for our drug court program.
Started at a young age, 12, 13, smoking pot. Did that for a long time, drinking on the weekends, sneaking drinking with the friends on the weekends, smoking cigarettes at a very young age, lying at a very early age. So, lied my whole life, all the way back as far as I can remember, telling lies about something, and the lies got bigger and bigger. But drugs and alcohol from the time I was 13 to the time I got sober pretty much were not necessarily a necessity at the beginning, but at the end they were a big necessity for my life. Graduated into stronger narcotics, pills, methamphetamines being the most, or my drug of choice, you could say. Cooked methamphetamines for a long time. In and out of jails, rehabs. Well, not really rehabs, but in and out of jails for a long time. Had a short stay in a treatment facility when I was 18 for a couple of hours. Got sober whenever I was 22. That was my first real drug and alcohol treatment. Being in and out of the judicial system so much that I was sick and tired of living the way that I was living, and tired of relying upon my drug, my addiction. It ceased being fun anymore. It was a job. I was just done with it, and I reached out for help, and I'd been reaching out for help for a while, and I knew that I couldn't continue living the way that I was living, or I was going to die. I knew I would die. I got help, and I went to a 1 year long-term inpatient treatment, and it saved my life. Without that and drug court, without the 1 year inpatient and drug court, I wouldn't be sober today. I would more than likely be serving a healthy prison sentence, or I would be I'd be dead, 100%.
First, you need to pray. The big book never says that this is easy, but nothing in life is, anything worthwhile in life is never easy. Never easy. And it is made the difference between life and death for me.